Well, it's been 25 years since Half-Life 1 got its official release on PC. Originally, this game came out in 1998 as a PC exclusive, but it did end up, well, it attempted to get itself a Dreamcast port back in the day with higher polygon count and a newly expansion pack called Blue Shift, which was developed by Gearbox, but unfortunately, before the game could come out, it had a strategy guide, but despite all of that, the game on Dreamcast was canned. But there is a ROM online where you guys can actually get the game yourself and give it a try. And then later on, instead of bringing it to the Dreamcast, they brought it into the PS2 with co-op mode. So it's been 25 years, and this game has gotten a newly made major update. This update contains restored and new content, you can say about that. For example, for multiplayer purposes, there are 4 new maps added into the game, whilst there's also even a few more maps you guys can even get yourself. So overall, we got quite a few new maps added in terms of multiplayer. And yeah, more unused content's been added into the game, such as skins. We even got multiple sprays and plenty more things right here. This is actually Valve's very first game. In fact, 2 guys who actually ran Valve together, well now it's just one because the guy left a few years afterwards. Well, they used to work for Microsoft, and then when they left, they went out to form Valve. This would be Half-Life. This was their first game, and a technically impressive game at the time. It won multiple awards for Game of the Year and plenty more stuff. And by the time then, mods started coming out as it was approved by the company themselves. If it wasn't for this game, we wouldn't get games like Counter-Strike, Team Fortress, and more. And sure, you could say that Team Fortress was actually a Quake mod, but they took the project also to bring to source of Half-Life, and the game was populated there, and they were going to make the sequel be more of a military realistic game, but we ended up getting a complete different experience instead. But all I can say is this too, is that when it comes to the Half-Life community, there are still plenty of modders to this very day when it comes to modding games. Afraid of Monsters, Cry of Fear, you name it. They Hunger, even a co-op mode called 7 Co-op, which is available on Steam for free. It's still being updated to this very day, but I'm not sure if anyone's still playing it. But anyhow, Half-Life. Let's talk about this one. You play as Gordon Freeman and you're in Black Mesa and you're testing out a scientist experiment that went wrong. And now you have to clean up the mess. You have to fight head crabs, zombies, buttload of mercenaries who are trying to kill you. I believe this is the first game that actually introduced interactive cutscenes, because instead of watching a full motion video, you can move whatever and move however you want, and you got guys talking to you or they just talk to you. However all that stuff works. The game was also followed by a remaster using the Source engine, but nobody liked it, though graphically it was impressive with the whole Source engine. There would be a fan-made remake of the game called Black Mesa, and guess what? Valve greenlit it, and it's available on Steam. You can either play Black Mesa or a newly major update for this game. There has been several fixes and more accessibility capabilities for modding, so this should make modding the game a lot more easier than it was before. Because when it came to Black Mesa back in the day, it was actually a mod of Half-Life 2, and now it became its own thing on Steam. I don't think if Half-Life ever existed, then modding would have never been as big as it always has been. But speaking of modding, the Dreamcast version of Half-Life 1 also received some sort of mods as well, whether it be ports like They Hunger or Paranoia, or just straight up some new ones, as I can say for myself. Now, I'll just say this, if you guys want to experience the Dreamcast version as well, there is a Dreamcast conversion mod on ModDB, which you'd think for the Dreamcast, the higher polygon count would be like a biggest thing that they try to promise but never deliver on that promise, as the game does have a higher texture quality when it came to the Dreamcast. You can also play the game on mouse and keyboard if you really want to, with that whole authentic experience. Because playing a controller, it's not bad wise or anything like that, but they had to make use of limited amount of buttons. Sometimes you have to press 2 buttons at the same time just for something to work. But overall, I don't think the mod, or just, I don't think the Dreamcast version is that bad to play on there. Though, for some weird reason, it could be a memory card nightmare, because certain times when you save the game, it's either going to be a large save file or it's going to be a small save file. So it's like the game couldn't even decide of like what save file it wanted to be. It just makes no sense to me. I mean, the game was almost finished anyhow, so why was it canned? I don't know. But if it wasn't canned, it probably would have sold well, and would force people to get themselves the Dreamcast instead of the PS2, which is a lot of people have been debating on that one, and I can see where they're coming from when they say that too. And Half-Life 1 has revolutionized first-person shooting for all the reasons. Sure, there are loading screens for every time a level has to load, but it's not as bad as it seems. If you guys are going to play this on PC, they also recently added in some brand new graphics settings, so that's cool. At least they're keeping the game highly updated now, and you guys can play this game on your Steam Deck, or you can also use the Xbox or PlayStation controllers now instead of a traditional mouse and keyboard. So now we finally get ourselves controller support for the game. Well, besides it coming for the Dreamcast and the PlayStation 2. Now, in terms of the game itself, getting more content in the 25th anniversary, there's brand new lighting, and there's also a brand new campaign. Well, it was not really new, but it's more of a demo. Half-Life Uplink, which was meant to be a demo of the original game. It's short, but it is nice to see that being included as well. There's also the legacy background of the Half-Life 1 as part of the main menu, and the original classic Valve logo, with the Valve being on the guy's eye socket. And look, I can't give you guys a whole entirety of the list of the 25th anniversary patch, but there's so much stuff that you guys can actually go into and deep dive into what was different now. I noticed that there was a huge change during that game when I was playing it pretty recently. And I have to say, it looks pretty nice, and it kind of looks so different than originally the way I played it. They've even got widescreen support for it too, which I think was pretty nice. So, all I can say is, if you guys really want to try experience with the controller for the first time now, you guys can now do that with the Steam Deck. And of course, PlayStation and the Xbox controllers if you really want to. But, all I can say is, I think you guys are going to have a nice trip into playing a Half-Life. If you guys are new to some sort of first-person shooters and such, definitely give this one a check out. Like I mentioned, there is multiplayer, which you guys can do like deathmatch, capture the flag, whatever. Anything that you all like to do. But considering they just added in a bunch of new multiplayer maps, you guys can have a pretty good time playing the game, whether it be with friends or with random people online. I just hope you guys enjoyed this game as much as everyone else in the world did.